we do here is go back.
Okay, so hopefully that is working. I'm not entirely sure if it will be or not, but we'll wing it anyway and see what's happening. Please let us know in the chat if you can see me and hear me. That would be really beneficial because I have not got a clue. As per usual, had hours to set up and yeah, got to the very last minute. It's like ah. Anyway, good evening. It is, I don't even know why I'm looking at my watch. I know the date because it was my birthday yesterday. Hey, another year older and deeper in debt. Lovely, like it a lot. It is Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, and it's about 22 degrees in this room at the moment. It's quite warm. Actually been in the garden today, doing a little bit of gardening, planting some veggies. Unbelievable. I have become an old person, officially. Got to get your veggies in the garden, especially this time of year. So I've been out digging and all that kind of stuff. So if I look slightly sweaty, dirty, or any of those things, then that is my excuse. I've actually been doing genuine, actual hard work in the garden.
Sweat dripping off.
Sweat was literally pissing off of me. I say that with the full intensity of the statement. It was very, very warm and I was sweating like, well, yeah. I was sweating worse than I did when I bent the pins on my 3900X when I dropped it. And I sweated quite a bit then. Anyway, so tonight we will be discussing various bits and bobs. Not ugly bobs, but, well, possibly we'll be discussing ugly bobs. We'll also be probably staking some bloody super chats. Oh my goodness, £20 there from Ugly Bob. Thank you very much, Ugly Bob. That's very much appreciated. You don't need to do that. Bob is possibly one of the most generous people I've ever met. It is absolutely incredible. And yes, we are very, very much indebted to you. Thank you, Bob. Bless you. Bless your heart. We've actually got another present here from Bob. Well, actually, Kath got a present. You got them there, haven't you?
We got here.
Kath received some pucker tea bags. I was going to say something then, but I'm not sure if Gamemax will actually be watching this live stream at some point, so I'm not too sure if I will make some crude gestures and remarks. Maybe we'll say that for later on the stream where people possibly won't be listening to it. But yeah, have they actually been opened?
No.
You haven't been opened them yet?
I know, they're too
Bloody
nice.
lightweight. Smells nice. And that was drinks for the lady, and for the gentleman of the house, we got ourselves a magnetic pickup tool with LED, which I'm going to take a look at. Rick H sent us $10 as well, says happy birthday, Mike and Kath. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Marco's come in as well with 500 RSDs. Happy birthday, you dirty old man. God bless you, Mary Poppins. Thank you very much. Oh, an outpouring of kindness. I'm lost for words, I genuinely am. Which doesn't happen often. Well, it does actually. Normally when I'm doing a review, and it's a very awkward word and I have to say it many, many times. Stuart Cleary says, Mike, you are officially old when you have a small stick set aside for the sole purpose of stirring paint. I will take your stick for stirring paint and I will trump that, my friend, with lollipop sticks ready to write the names of the flowers that are being planted in the garden.
Luckily, I've been saving them up all winter.
Yeah, I've been having to literally eat ice lollies just to get those wooden sticks. It's terrible, but it's one of those things you've got to do. So yeah, thank you all for your birthday wishes. It's extremely kind of you, but please stop. I don't need reminding that I'm actually a year older than I was
Yesterday.
a couple of days ago. Although it doesn't make a difference. Age is just a number, isn't it? I was going to say something about a certain top of the pops star, but I probably shouldn't do. Anyways. So on tonight's stream, we're going to be taking a look primarily at the Gamemax Blackhole which is something actually that you lot, it's your fault. This is the reason why we do these things. Essentially, yeah, we've got to do it because it's been asked for so many times. I've just given up saying no now, so I've gone into it. There's another super chat there. Bloody hell. Stuart Cleary with 50 euros. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. 50 euros. Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Again, lost for words. Choked a little bit there. Sorry. Do apologise. I'm not going to cry. I might do. If I get my fingers stuck in those 200mm fans on the Gamemax Blackhole, I possibly will cry. And I'll blame it on the fans, although it's me just being emotional. Anyway, so we'll be taking a look at the Gamemax Blackhole in the approximately 2 hours that we'll be streaming for, which we probably will be. Might even go over, I don't know. Also as well, to start the stream, we're going to be going through some of the things that we've received this week, either from like gifts, or basically things that we've been sent from companies, or actually those kind people out there in viewerland. That's you lot out there. And there's another super chat from Mike at the Ultimate Tech Hub. Please check out Mike's channel, the Ultimate Tech Hub. Thank you kindly for your $10. It's very much appreciated. Actually, Mike's got a competition on at the moment. If you want to win some nice solar lamps or lights for your driveway, your garden,
Highlight your planting.
just highlight your planting, that sort of thing. There's a competition going on at the moment, so go over to his videos and comment, and you might win something. And you might feel that you want to subscribe, because Mike's he's one of those rugged-looking, handsome chaps. You can imagine him being on the set of some kind of Californian sitcom or something. I'm deeply envious. And he's got a lovely swimming pool as well in his house. I'm envious of that as well. And also his Ethernet system in his house and his entire network. There's just a lot of jealousy, but go and visit his channel anyway. Matthew Day's coming in a super chat as well. Just happy birthday for yesterday. Thank you very much, Matthew. We do appreciate that. That £2 could have gone towards some yellow ticket meals. You do realise that. That's probably a good 4 weeks worth of yellow ticket meals you've just donated there. Thank you very much. And O'Reilly has joined in as well with £20 and 1 pence. I'll give Kath the 1 pence. Thank you very much, O'Reilly. That is massively appreciated.
Thank you.
Do you know what? I was out in the garden today doing the garden, clearly, and I was absolutely knackered. Literally, I got in and I sat in the chair and I was like, Kath, I don't think I can do this live stream tonight. I am absolutely absolutely fecked. And I was setting up the stream and I was like, oh God, I'm really struggling. But you guys, in your generosity and kindness, reminds me of why I do this and why Kath sits there and goes through the anguish of having to put up with me being an absolute bitch diva most of the time. Like, probably a good 8 hours of the day at least. Would you say 8 hours? Maybe more?
Maybe more.
Maybe more. Kath puts up with a lot.
You're alright when you're asleep.
When I'm sleeping, I'm absolutely fine.
He's not too
I'm a really nice guy when I'm asleep. and drunk. I would think I'm a happy or sleepy drunk. I don't think I'm an aggressive or angry
You're a
drunk.
bit funny.
Maybe once or twice. But on the whole, generally, I'm a happy drunk. Anyway, moving on. So thank you all so much for your kindness. It really is, very, very kind. Matthew Day says that £2 was Google opinion credit. Oh, right, so you can't spend that on Asda cheapy meals anyway, so it's got to go somewhere.
We appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Lukey666 or Lukiel, not sure how you pronounce that, says hello back. Happy birthday. Mine is June the 4th. Going to be 57. The good old Heinz variety. I think I might round that down to 39. I think it's good.
If you go up a little bit, they said they were using long bamboo stakes for hot peppers, green peppers, tomatoes and various herbs.
Oh, we were using long bamboo canes, 8-foot bamboo canes for our tomato plants.
No.
We were?
We haven't planted the tomatoes yet.
What have we planted then?
Beans.
Oh, beans. Is that beans? I thought you were doing tomatoes.
I thought thought we were doing beans now.
So Henry was talking about tomatoes, wasn't he?
No, he's talking about beans.
Was he? As you can probably guess, Kath is the gardener.
I've not got a clue either.
She hasn't got a clue either, but I'm less of a gardener. The only thing I know about the garden is I can fall asleep on it whilst I'm drunk. And it's relatively comfortable. And I sweat like hell when I'm digging it up. Other than that, that's it.
But we've done well this week, and you had to dig up a load of foundations, didn't you? It wasn't easy.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, Daisy, our cat, is actually sat on my chair over there, and she's
Boss lady.
she's the boss man of the house, and I think she's actually trying to cough up a fur ball, or possibly the remnants of my cheese sandwich, which I took out into the garden because I couldn't finish it. And I thought I'll leave it on the table, maybe come back to it a little bit later and look around, and the cat's just nailing it. So anyway, Matthew Day says you don't need 8 foot for tomatoes, so maybe it is beans then.
It definitely is beans.
We'll see what grows.
But our neighbours kindly grew the beans for us.
Yes, thank you to our neighbours for growing the beans.
And the other
Get them to the
neighbours gave
point.
us our 8-foot canes.
Yeah, we just supplied the soil and the hard work. They supplied everything else. Anyway, let's move on from gardening, because it's uphill.
Oh, Ugly Bob's come out with a good idea. That I can smack you with the canes.
Thanks, Bob. I thought we were friends. Trying to get someone's spouse to inflict bodily harm on their other spouse is not friendly. But I'll give you that. So, we'll talk about the Gamemax case. We will be definitely doing that at some point, because it's basically the thumbnail, and if I don't do it, people will get pissed off. I'm going to go through some of the other things that we've got this week as well. First of all, I should say thank you to Dom. Thanks for Dom, sent in the Trust. I'm not too sure how you pronounce that. For you? It's basically a 4-in-1 microphone for streaming and all that kind of stuff. You know what it's like here. We do like using microphones. It's weird. I seem to review an absolute ton of microphones, but I always end up going back to my Boya BY-M1, which ironically was either the first or second microphone I ever bought. And even they sent me another one, the Boya BY-M1 Pro, which is supposed to be the upgraded version. I still went out and bought another BY-M1 actually when I broke the original one. And I've actually got another spare up on the shelf there for when this one breaks, which inevitably it will do. I don't actually like being tethered by a wire, but I'm useless at charging batteries. I really am. So getting a wireless microphone set up on a regular basis, yeah, it just it doesn't work for me. Anyway, so we've got the Trust For You 4-in-1 microphone, which we'll be doing a review of at some point. Actually, let me take the wrapping off. This is actually a really expensive microphone. Now, it's not for us to keep. We're just doing a review, and then we're going to post it back to Dom when we're done with it. But it's a slightly unusual one. It's got 5-color RGB, 4 recording patterns, and it's got all the controls and stuff on the front. It's just an unusual looking microphone. So we might even do a bit of a review on that during this week, and then possibly maybe even use it for the live stream next week, see how we go, see what it's like, and then I can get your feedback and see what it's actually like. Potentially we might even unbox it and have a quick look at it tonight, but I just thought I'd say we are going to be doing that, so if anyone is interested, if there's anything specifically you want to know about that, then do let me know.
The word means drive in Welsh.
It means drive?
According to Uggs.
In Welsh, oh. And
You were fluent and
and a raff means slow in Welsh. I know that. So we've combined drive in and stuff. Matthew Day says, Trust used to be cheap. Some of the stuff still is, but some of it they have gone somewhat upmarket with. But then you still find it weird that it ends up in the kind of the bargain bins at your local Asda or Tesco. It's a very unusual company how it's set up. What else we got? So we've got a KVM switch, which we're going to be reviewing. This is for Bob, Ugly Bob. And this is going to be a weird one to review, actually. It's designed, if you're not sure what a KVM is relatively straightforward. The clues in the title. KVM stands for keyboard, video and mouse. What this essentially will let you do is to quickly swap your keyboard, mouse and your display, and possibly USB sticks, that kind of stuff, between 2 computers. So if, like a lot of people these days, you've maybe got one PC that you use for work, maybe a laptop you use for work predominantly, and you've also got your desktop PC, you can connect this up and use this as a switcher to switch between the two. So that is actually going to be genuinely quite an interesting thing, so I haven't used one of these in a very, very long time. And there's another super chat coming in from Patrick. I should be clicking on these actually, I'm not very good at my job. Patrick LaBelle, 5 Canadian dollars. Happy birthday, you gained 1 more experience level in the game of life. That's quite a sweet way of putting it. I've just gained more lines in my forehead and around my eyes. They're useful. Although saying that actually, I don't know, you probably won't be able to tell on this camera because, actually you should be able to tell because it is supposedly 4K downsampled, but I have been using on a semi-regular basis now, or almost kind of most days, I've been using that soap from Dr. Swash. Swatch? Dr. Swatch, that's the one. And actually, my skin is feeling better. It's not helping that I'm eating pizza and chocolate and stuff at the moment, so my skin is breaking out a little bit. But overall, my skin does, I think, personally, actually look and feel better. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some close-ups at some point, which I'm going to hate doing. Most people don't even like being on camera, let alone close-ups. Close-ups are basically the kind of the kryptonite to most YouTubers and TV presenters, all that kind of stuff. Nobody likes a close-up. They really don't. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing one. There's another £2 super chat from Lucky Man. Thank you, Lucky Man. Ugly Bob needs a switch to turn him off. He doesn't need a switch, he just needs alcohol. That does the same thing. Generally we'll get to, what time is it now? 20 past 8. So he's probably a good 10 to 15 units in by now. So I would imagine by about 9, he's just going to be there dribbling. He'll be basically shut down. Nothing will be working, the eyes will be moving, the mouth will be speaking, nothing will be coming out that makes any coherent sense, and he'll probably be just hitting the keyboard like a toddler. That is what we've got to look forward to later on. Yeah, so we're going to look at that. My concerns with KVMs is a lot of devices, especially these days, it's probably not going to be that relevant, and it is going to be somewhat niche, but if you're using a USB headset, especially possibly one that has RGB built in and is controlled through maybe Corsair or MSI Center, that kind of stuff, those type of devices, if I could speak, don't always like being plugged and unplugged or to be connected to 2 PCs kind of thing at the same time. So I'm not too sure how that's going to work, and certainly for data drives, which is something we will be testing to see what happens if you've got a USB drive in there. Not that it's going to be in use, but just kind of in the PC. If switching the two, if there is any form of data corruption, because in theory it would have to mount and remount the drive for each PC when you switch between the two. Now clearly these are kind of, again, sort of niche things, but it's something which, the last time I used a KVM, it was like a PS2 keyboard and mouse and a VGA display. So this is 4K 60Hz supported on HDMI, and it supports Bluetooth 2. Sorry, USB 2. So that's what, 480 megabits per second. So yeah, what's that? 8 to 10 megabytes per second, roughly. I think that translates to. It's been a long time since I've used USB 2 for data transfers. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. There is a separate little button press, so you don't actually have to physically reach for the device. So if you actually want to hide it somewhere out of the way, you don't have to have this on your desk, which is kind of like quite a nice feature. So yeah, we'll be doing a review on that, see how that goes. Let's have a look at the questions. Stuart says, "Oi, leave Bob alone, he's the bee's knees." He's going to have bee's knees later when they all go all jelly-like. He's 3.5 cans in so far, that's not bad. Riley says, "Not sure if it would work switching between USB drive, you would need a safety eject first to ensure no data corruption." Yeah, that is something that is kind of ticking away at the back of my mind. Really, I think it is designed more so for literal keyboard, video, mouse. The extra USB ports are probably more kind of token gestures than what they are to be used long term, but we'll see. Switching a printer on USB, that would be fine. Yeah, printer should be okay. Most printers these days, especially with Windows 11, are pretty resilient. Even our wireless printer, the Epson XP245, that generally, even if you turn it off, turn it back on again, or the Wi-Fi loses connection, is generally quite good, and Windows will find it without too much problem.
The paper inside it is another matter.
Yeah. Right, so a single USB printer, scanner, and KVM for 2 more. Yeah, that's probably its kind of best case scenario, isn't it? If you're home office setup, maybe got your laptop. My on the box, actually. Sorry, I'm talking about KVMs. This is probably very boring, but I'm going to look at it anyway. On the box, on the back, I did notice it shows a laptop, and then it shows 2 monitors, which kind of doesn't make... Well, it kind of does make sense, but it doesn't. So it's showing 2 monitors and a laptop, whereas really it should be showing 1 monitor, 1 PC and a laptop, possibly. I don't know. So that is the way they've got it configured there. They've got 2, yeah, they've got the laptop connected as an output by the look of it, and then the 2 monitors connected as inputs. So yeah, the picture on the back doesn't make a great deal of sense, but we will try and make sense of it as much as we can. Let's have a quick look actually inside. Who's being nasty now? So if you're wondering how big it isn't very big at all. That is the size of it. You can tell it's good because it's got 4K stamped on it. That's always a good sign. It's got a actual proper clicky button, and on the back you've got your connectivity. So you've got USB and USB for the PCs, HDMI and HDMI for the 2 PCs, and then you've got your HDMI outputs there, and then you've obviously got your keyboard, mouse, whatever inputs there. Shame that they've actually put them on the front. It would have been nicer, I think, if they'd put those on the side or even on the back, because really, if you've got this on your desk, which kind of it is designed for to some extent, I guess, because you've got the rubber feet there, you don't necessarily want your keyboard and mouse plugged in the front. Although you could plug in a wireless dongle and have that on the front. That actually would be quite cool. Have a wireless dongle on the front, get rid of the wires. That could actually be a very neat setup. Ideas are forming. So yeah, we'll have a look at that and see what the deal is. So that is that. Price-wise, I think on this, it was somewhere in the region of about £25 to £30, I think, which actually isn't that bad. The last time that I actually used a KVM was for the BBC. In the TV show Casualty, obviously actors would use computers on the set to say, oh, let's bring up such and such's patient notes. Now obviously actors are generally like preoccupied with actually saying the words that they have to say and standing on their marks and having those pauses when they look at the camera and then carry on. So they didn't want to be troubled with, oh, hang on, I can't actually type because I just look at things pensively. So they would have someone else do the typing and using the keyboard and mouse. So I set up a KVM, so I would use the keyboard and mouse, and I'd have a screen in front of me, and then the actor on the set would just stand in front of the computer, and the keyboard and mouse that they had wasn't actually physically connected. But it could be if they want to. I'd just normally connect it before they get near it, because yeah, they don't like that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'd be out there, I'd be doing all the work on the computer, and they take the credit for it. Bastards. And I was the least paid one on the set. Incredible. Anyway, that's enough of that. Moving on swiftly, we've also been sent this from our friends over at Silentium PC, which some of you have probably never heard of, and until very recently I hadn't either. So Silentium PC is, from what I can tell, is a more European company, very popular in kind of Holland, Germany, Norway, those kind of places. they seem to do a lot of stuff, and there's kind of two parts of the company. You've got Silentium PC, but you've also got SPC Gaming Gear, which is their kind of sub-company. And they've got this new one, this is the Navis F240 ARGB 240mm cooler, ready for LGA 1700 out of the box, which is always a nice thing to see, especially, obviously, if you're thinking of going down Intel 12th gen route. Also works with AM4, also AM5, AM3 backwards compatibility should you wish to, socket 1155, well 115X, let's say, yeah, and all that kind of good stuff. From what I can tell, from what I've seen from them already, their keyboard and mouse, their keyboard and also the cooler they sent over. The cooler I'm actually still using on my own PC. I'm very happy with that. So, unfortunately, I'm going to take it out. So I'm going to take it out my PC and put this in. I'm going to compare what is their kind of flagship Fortis 5 cooler against their kind of middle of the range water cooling and see how well it does. It does appear to be very nice from what I can tell at the moment. Get a better look at it on the side there. So you've got PWM controlled pump, 2 ARGB Fluctus fans. There is something about their kind of almost IKEA-esque naming convention. So calling your fans Fluctus, it's like, that's just asking for trouble in the United Kingdom and probably America. Probably more so the United Kingdom because we actually have a sense of humour. Although Americans do, because the last 2 presidents. Did I say that out loud? I'm only joking. You've got bright ARGB LED illumination, nano reset ARGB controller built in, so if you don't have addressable RGB, you can use the built-in RGB controller. Kink resistant rubber tubing. Something I could have said about that, but I'm not going to. Yeah, multi-socket compatibility. So yeah, if you're thinking of getting a decent cooler, this potentially could be it. Interesting to see what that one's going to be like. Obviously, if you're not subscribed already, you probably are. But yeah, subscribe to see how that goes. Quality check performed in Poland. So yeah, this comes from Poland. That's the only country I didn't mention actually, wasn't it? Of that, well, geography's never been my strong point. I struggle getting out of Gloucester, to be honest with you.
If you ever went to Gloucester.
If I ever went, I have been to Gloucester once. We went there to pick up a sofa, didn't we?
Yeah, and didn't we also get a print?
Oh, no, printer. Yeah, that HP printer. It was a printer, plotter, scanner thing, wasn't it? Huge thing.
Gonads.
I did damage a gonad lifting that printer.
I thought it was where you scanned it. Oh, that's PC World.
I did that. Glenn says Silentium's old AIOs were great, so got high hopes for this one. Awesome. Right, anyway, I haven't said hello to everyone in the chat, have I yet? That's despicable behaviour. So let's quickly scroll back up and say hello to those that I haven't said hello to already. How rude of me. I'm a terrible host. I'm actually a terrible guest as well, so. Some you win, some you lose. So first up today was a rally. A rally gets the gold medal.
How much does the cooler cost?
That is a very good question, the AIO. I do not know the price on that at the moment. Maybe, actually, maybe one of you could have a quick Google on it and see what the price is. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. It is very new on the market. I'm guessing, because I guess a lot, being that it's from Silentium PC, I know they use really nice materials and really good quality materials. I'm not saying that other companies don't, but if you've used any of their stuff, you know the difference because it's got a certain kind of weight and a feel to it, and it's that reassuring kind of heaviness to it. So I'm going to be guessing it's going to be retailing for £75–80. It's got to be that. If it's less than that, I'll be impressed. It's going to have some fierce competition from Arctic Freezer. Obviously, the Freezer 240mm is pretty much one of the best on the market because it's got that extra width to it to give you that extra thermal capacity. So it's going to struggle, but we'll see. So O'Reilly's with us, Ugly Bob, Rick H, Matthew Day, we've said, Matthew Day, Welly Bob, sorry?
You got it on live chat?
I have got it on live chat, not the other one. I actually got it right this time, it's unusual for me. Stuart Cleary we've got, so hello to you. I'm trying to think if there's anybody I haven't said hello to yet. There probably is. Mark Berry says, hello, good evening everyone. The party has started. Where? I wasn't invited. Antonio says, good evening all. How you doing, Antonio? Aletta says, looks like a nice clubhouse. Are opinionated lesbian vampires allowed? I think so. I'm pretty sure, yeah. There was, what was that film? There was a film called... Was it Attack of the Vampire Lesbian Killers or something? Killer Vampire Lesbians. I don't know. It was something along those lines. I'm sure it was a film. Either that or I imagined it.
It was a film.
It was definitely, wasn't it?
But I get it muddled with that hot tub one.
Yeah. What, Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yeah.
How can you mix those two up?
I don't know.
Was there hot tubs in...
Probably watched it the same night.
Vampires don't use hot tubs, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure they would.
I don't think they would. You never know. I don't think they like water. Especially holy water.
Well, there's not holy water in a hot tub.
It could be.
From a hole.
Anyway, I digress. Moving on. Lucky Man's with us. We said that. Ashley Strachan says, good evening, everybody. XD Page says, let's go. Who else we got? Sorry, I'm just scanning through here. Nick Barnes. Good old Nick Barnes. How you doing, Nick? Dom says, hello all. Hope everyone is having a good time. I'm finishing build in TechWare Nexus M. What did you think of it? Honest opinion. It's not a perfect case. I will state it. Well, I said in the review, it's not a perfect case. It's far from perfect. But it was cheap. And it actually looks quite nice. So, yeah. There's obviously, there's alternatives out there which potentially are better. But I think for the money, that was retailing recently for about, was it $29.99 special offer? For 30 quid. You can't really complain too much. Who else we got with us? Oh god, there's a super chat. Mark Berry says sound and vision. I didn't check that, did I? I just carried on straight into the rant. Mookie MC says streams live and looking good and sounding good. Well, it had to happen one day. Glenn's coming in with a blazing 420. Oh shit.
Maybe you need to put your Ali G on every time you get
That was my right unboxing thumb I've just knackered now. That's better. I think you've got to limber up a bit, haven't you, before you do that? You've got to shake out your sillies a little bit. Join with me at home, kids. Shake out your sillies. I'm sure didn't they do that? What was that? Shake your sillies out. What was that on? That was on
Bananas in Pyjamas, wasn't it?
Bananas in Pyjamas. Shake out your sillies.
Oh, and somebody, whoever it was, thank you for finding living in the flat.
Oh, no, it's broken. Oh dear, that's the warm-up done. William Bodie says lesbians don't know how to suck. Shocked face. They probably do. I'm not saying any more words. Kieran Atkinson's with us. I just noticed that as I flicked through. Gone back to the lesbians thing. Ultimate Tech Hub, he said, Dutch Jan, how you doing? A little bit late from Germany. No worries, no worries. He said, Ultimate Tech Hub, Mike. Good old Mike. I like Ultimate Tech Hub, Mike. Especially when he's got wireless LED lights for outside that are solar and would go nice in my vegetable garden. I'm not hinting. A little bit. I'm a Coconut says, hi Mike in chat, hope you're doing well. Yeah, not too bad. Reasonable. Marco T is with us, says Mike, where is Ass Bear? Good point, good point. I've actually got some cold tea there, but I might actually treat myself to a beer because it is our birthdays.
Do you want a beer?
Yeah, let's have a beer. Raleigh says the AO looks interesting. Do Solentium PC, do they make a 360? They do. Yes, I'm pretty sure they do. The Fluxus range, I'm sure from the blurb that I received, there's I think there's a 120. There's definitely a 240, clearly, because it's there, and there's a 360. There might be coming a 280. It might already be out. I'm not sure.
Do you want a glass?
Is it cold?
Yeah. Ish.
Yeah. Go on then. Thank you.
What, a glass?
No, don't worry, it's fine. Cheers, everybody. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Much appreciated. What else we got there? The Game of Life, yeah. Ultimate Tech Hub says, I've never used a KVM switch. It's one of those things that if you've got a need for it, they're actually extremely handy. But it's having the need for it is the kind of the thing. If you've got, like for me, I've got a video editing PC there, it would be nice to actually have the room on my desk to have another PC which I can do kind of benchmarks and testing on and switch between the two rather than having to have two complete setups. So for that particular purpose, it is worth its weight in gold because you can save so much space. If you're working from home and you've got a work laptop, most people, like, work laptops are fine, but once you've got them, you've got like a little screen and you're hunched over your desk and that, it's so much nicer with a laptop. Just plug it into a KVM, use your own keyboard and mouse, and yeah, it's a nicer experience in my opinion. Nice big screen as well, especially if you're working on spreadsheets and stuff like that, or maybe you're doing some research and you've got loads of tabs open. Doing it on like a 15-inch laptop screen, even a 17-inch screen, is pretty hellish. Whereas if you've got a nice 24, 27, 32-inch screen to work on, you get so much done and so quicker, and it's less strain on your eyes as well. Bob's saying there, I use one in my home office to switch between my work laptop and my server. The one I currently have though is getting a bit problematic, so I got that one on a special for Amazon. Yeah, that's a really good choice. William Bodie says, moaning to all of you. Thank you, William. Oh, I think I've scrolled up way too far, haven't I? Let's catch up. So, Patrick LaBelle, we've said. Vignesh says 6800 XT or 3080. Personally, I would say neither. Don't give AMD or Nvidia or those scalping bastards your hard-earned money. Go in low. Unless you actually specifically need it for a specific thing, like you need 5 extra FPS or 10 extra FPS in a title, don't do it, especially now. We've got the 4000 series due, we've also got the refresh coming out from the Radeons next week, in fact. So there's going to be some shake-up in the market. So buying a graphics card today, or tomorrow, or maybe even Monday, is not going to be, not really going to be beneficial. Unless you're getting a ridiculously good deal, or maybe you know someone at the local Best Buy or whatever, and you can slip them 100 quid and they'll nick you one. Kids, don't do that. Stealing is bad, and you potentially could get arrested, and you will go to prison, and potentially have things happen to your... Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Stealing's bad, kids, don't do it. So if it's for gaming, again, realistically, if you've got the money to buy a 6800 XT or a 3800, sorry, a 3080, then realistically, it doesn't make a difference which one you get. They're both going to do swings and roundabouts. Obviously, there's going to be some titles, especially ones with DLSS or ray tracing, Nvidia is going to walk all over it. If F1 2021 is your thing, clearly Nvidia card is going to be the one to go for, because ray tracing hasn't come up to speed yet on the 6000 series. But on the other side, if your thing is maybe things running on the Junior engine, so Far Cry 6, that kind of stuff, or there's quite a few games which run better on AMD. There's quite a few games which run better on Nvidia. So saying one or the other is kind of like, I don't know. I really don't. Depending on what you play, and depending what resolution you're at, what quality settings you prefer to play at. If you're playing at competitive settings, then realistically those graphics cards are pointless anyway, because all they offer is basically more textures, because they've got tons of VRAM and all that kind of stuff. So I would go in with, if you're looking at spending a bit of money on a graphics card, you're probably at the moment, your best bet is going to be somewhere around the 3070, maybe 660 XT, 6700 XT. You can probably pick one of those, or either of those, up for somewhere in the region of about 400 or 500 at the moment. which even still is a ridiculous amount of money to spend on a graphics card. It really is. You might want to do it, but personally, for me, 500 quid on a graphics card is kind of a little bit crazy. My cut-off point generally always used to be 150 to 200 pounds. Now, obviously things have moved on, and now I kind of look at maybe if something was 300 pounds and it was good and it was a worthwhile upgrade, I would get it. But anything else for 300 pounds is like, why am I spending this much money? Am I enjoying the game more than I would have if I spent 200 pounds? Maybe. Not a lot though. Yes, Kath.
Ugly Bob wants to know, will your new magnetic torch stick to the side of a Carlsberg can?
That is a good point. Let's get off of that subject. Anyway, hopefully you've answered, or at least put you in some kind of which direction. If it's for gaming, yeah. Dutch Jan says just take 4 PCs and 4 take 2 PCs and 4 monitors. Fair enough. Kieran Atkinson, I said, yeah, Kieran's been quiet this week. Hopefully you're feeling better.
So will it?
Will it? I'm building up to it.
Okay. I thought you'd forgotten.
It's dramatic tension. Oh no, that's just these tight underpants. That's dramatic tension.
They're far too tight.
Yeah. Where are we? Ugly Bob says I have a wireless dongle for his Logitech keyboard MX Master. Yeah, that's going to be a very nice looking little thing. That sounded wrong. Let's move on from there. Harry says cases are nice. I considered Ventium. Oh, sorry, their cases are nice. I considered the Ventium YT4V, but settled for the Colink Citadel. Colink Citadel is a great case. I do like the Colink Citadel. There's definitely a soft spot in my repertoire of go-to cases for the Citadel. Was that just read well in Bodis?
No, Ugly Bob said go and get a bamboo stick. Keep prodding you to remind you to do that torch.
I'm going to do it. I'm keeping up with the viewers.
So go and get a stick just in case.
No, don't get a stick. O'Reilly says, don't worry, Mike and Kath, we'll let you off being rude since it's your birthdays. Oh, thank you very much. You will, but not necessarily YouTube. Our draconian overlords.
No, that was being rude. That was being rude for not saying hello.
Oh, sorry. Oh, right, fair enough.
So behind.
I am so behind. I'm going to fast forward to the present. Ugly Bob says, question, will your new magnetic torch stick to the side of a Carlsberg can? I don't think it will, because Carlsberg cans are aluminum. Or aluminium, if you're a normal human being. I'm getting hated for the Americans tonight. So this is the flexible head torch. Is that supposed to flex more? Oh yeah, it is. There we go. There you go. So if you feel you need to go and see a proctologist, you can just have a quick look yourself, should you need to. It's very handy. It has got a set of batteries in there. So 3 LR22 batteries, I believe. Or is it 4? Let's find out. It looks like it might be 4. Yep, 4 LR whatever I said batteries. Which I probably put in wrong now. So it's extendable. I thought I pulled that too hard then. All the innuendos are just flying out, aren't they? So this is actually really handy. If you've lost something, which inevitably if you build PCs you will at some point lose something. Generally it's going to be something which is small and you cannot get to. So this thing is cool because there is a magnetic ring. More innuendos. Let's actually try this. Let's do a practical test of something which might be actually metal. A screw. A desk. Oh dear, I cannot see the desk because let's have some light on it. It's quite bright as well. Oh, I cannot see the screw and I cannot reach it with my fat bowyer type fingers. What will I do? Oh, I know. Let's use the magnetic thing I got from Bob for my birthday. So just angle it down, say, oh, there he is, there he is. Actually, they can't even see that. I'm going to have to clear the text on the screen, aren't I? There we go, that might work now. Screw. It better be magnetic after I built this up now. So magnetic ring around the outside, so you go, oh, there it is, it's down there. Oh yeah, I got it. Oh, there we go. Dun, dun, dun. I have the screw of power. So that is very cool. And also it's got a big old magnet on that end as well. So
Chat box now.
that's not magnetic. It's aluminum. Aluminum. Do, do, be, do, do. Aluminum. Do, 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 do. Didn't stick to that. Wow, that's actually quite strong. Did you see that? It's like something out the bloody Matrix or a Marvel movie. That's quite impressive. So, when I go to work tomorrow, and I'm working on someone's car, and I'm trying to do a headlamp in a Vauxhall Corsa, which are absolute bastards, and I always drop the retaining clip down the back of the headlight. So it'd be like, oh, not a problem. Ugly Bob's tool to the rescue. Just clip, boom, thank you customer, please drive away in safety. Happy days. Comes with some spare batteries as well, so inevitably, when I turn it on and then just leave it somewhere, where is it? Where can I magnetise it to? Oh, I know. I could use this as a hair light if I had hair. Oh no, it's not that strong. That.
Bit droopy.
It's got a bit of brewer's droop going on. I could use it as a hair light. No, maybe not. Anyway, moving on.
Is it Mark Point?
Mark Point has... Oh, I don't know. What do you say? Thank you, Bob, by the way.
What happens when you run 64 gigs of RAM on Windows Home?
It doesn't work. I think. Where am I get to? So I answered that. Okay. AMD better for Linux, otherwise it depends. Linux. Don't say the L word, you'll start a letter off. Anyway, thank you for that, Bob. That is actually genuinely useful. Actually, I'll leave it there, because guaranteed, whenever I'm working in this case, which is quite often, I always drop a screw down in between those fans at the bottom, which you might be able to see. And I can, these ain't doing it. The digits will not go. So I end up, yeah, I'm like running around, calf, magnet, help, need little things, or I'm there stupidly poking around inside a PC case with a magnetic tip screwdriver whilst trying not to damage things. So, yeah, that is very cool. Thank you, Bob. Right, Raza 906. Do you know how to get better GPU temps with a case that has a solid front? I have 6 Be Quiet Pure Base 2. It's the Corsair 175R, if that helps. Not really. No, if you've got a case with a solid front, you are somewhat knackered. The only thing you can do is, if there is any ventilation, you can try and get some fans which have got a better motor, or have got a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Torque. More torque. So they're going to scoop the air in. If you're using kind of somewhat sort of passive fans, which haven't got a lot of poke to them, then you're going to be fighting the resistance, and the fan's just going to be like, well, I'm just going to sit here spinning. Try and get fans which have got a really nice scooped blade on them. If you've got a blade which is kind of like not got much of an angle to it, it's just going to not do anything. So you need to overcome that static pressure thing. Which actually is a relevant point, because the Gamemax Blackhole does kind of fall into that category of a closed off front. So I'm glad you said that. Letter says, I'm done with gaming. I spent my GPU money on a new guitar. Okay. Whatever you get the enjoyment out of. Mark says, what happens when you run 64 gigs of RAM on Windows Home? I'm not sure. Windows 10 Home, I'm sure, was a 32 gig limit. I think that was a pretty hard limit on there, and it wouldn't recognise it. With Windows 11, I'm not sure if that is still a thing. It might be. Hopefully someone else has said, but I'm not entirely sure. I've never used more than 32 gigs in the system, so I don't really know. Mark says, will the computer go to hell because of too much RAM? It potentially might do. It may actually open up a subspace carrier frequency and just fall straight into hell. But it's probably going to be in good company with... actually, no, I'm not saying that. Tiago says, hello from Portugal. How you doing? How is Portugal? Is it nice and warm and sunny? I would hope so. Oh, I fast forwarded too much. Ugly Bob says, Ugly Bob's tool is in good hands. There. The Freckle Beauty says, I think James Herriot would have loved that torch. He would have. He would have done. Bandy says, do you think you might review one of those endoscope inspection cameras for mobiles? I did actually buy one. And I couldn't get it to work with my Android phone. I bought it probably a good 3 years ago, if not more. I did actually, that's something I wanted to definitely do. I can't remember why I even bought it.
To do under the floor.
Was
Put
it?
that wire in, I'm pretty sure.
Blimey, that was... No, it's longer. It's something else. It must have been...
I'm pretty sure
before
we
that.
bought that for that reason.
But yeah, I did buy it. I wanted, because for those of you who don't know, we live in a 1930s house. And it's basically is all brick and plaster. So trying to do any kind of network cabling, which is relevant because we're going to be looking at that shortly. Trying to do anything with network cables in this house is an absolute pig because all the walls are solid. So if you want to put any trunking in or anything, you've got to have it surface mount, or you've got to get basically an angle grinder out and chop out bits of the wall, which is never a good idea because brick dust gets everywhere, especially that old 1930s proper red bricks, not like the modern engineering bricks, which are relatively easy to get and cut through, and they do give off dust, but nowhere near as much as those old ones. So yeah, we wanted to see where the holes were under the floor and route the cables through, but yeah, it never worked out because it was just rubbish.
That brick wall go around the fireplace.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'd never know that, would we?
Razman Rose says, do I need to remove the top dust filter for better cooling? Yes, that's always a good idea. Dust filters are, more times than not, dust filters are a little bit pointless. They do what they're, well, they do what they say on the tin. They filter dust. But in order to do that, it is an extra layer of resistance. I generally take them off like that case there. There's normally a dust filter on the top. I take that off because it's going up, the PC's fans are blowing out, it's an exhaust, so it's pointless filtering air escaping the PC because I got a vacuum for that. Mark Point, I would say actually if you've got Windows Home and Pro, probably the best thing to do is just go over to premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's subtle hint there, and just buy yourself a Pro license, because you can upgrade from Home to Pro easily. It's going to cost you, if you're in the UK, what, about £4.50 for a license key. Super easy to do, and then it's going to take the guesswork out, so you can just use all the RAM. Why didn't I think of that earlier? That is the best way. Don't even hesitate, just get the key. Mark wants to use 128 gigabytes of RAM just for the hell of it. You could potentially, if you want to, then you could run Windows in a RAM disk. Whether or not that'll have much benefit these days over SSDs, I don't know. Probably would have a little bit, not a great deal. Matthew Day says the top dust filter is really a dropped small objects filter. Yes, it is. Thank you, Calf. Where's the adjuster on the seat? Right, next thing we've got, this is what Calf bought me for my birthday. 305 meters of Cat 5e cabling. Yeah, less said about that, the better. And it is only Cat 5e. I know someone's going to say, should have got Cat 6, I know, or Cat 7 or whatever. But it was cheap. It was, I think it was 35 quid for 305 meters, which is quite a lot. Should last a long time. To go with that, I actually bought another kit as well for doing network cables. Now, if you want to see how to do network cables, Mike...
I bought it for you.
You did. I bought it from me, from Kath. Mike over at Ultimate Tech Hub has done some really good videos on networking, which is what's kind of got me on this again. So I've got a new crimper, easy crimper.
Oh, I can't wait to see hair.
Also, I've got some shielded Cat 5 ends, or RJ45. Is it RJ45? I always forget. Am I losing my mind? Cat 5. RJ45. Is it RJ45? Anyway, these, you know, the things you plug into the back of your PC and into your Switch. So these are shielded ones. They came with the kit. Also a stripper. Hey! And a croning tool, which is for old-fashioned switches. Well, more for network cabinets when you're pushing the cables onto the individual things. Yeah, all very interesting stuff. But the good thing about these is they're actually pass-through. So normally when you're wiring up Cat 5 cables, it's a pain in the ass, because you have to try and get the cables pretty much all exactly the same length, untwist them and all that sort of stuff. But this little tool is actually very cool in the fact that you put your Cat 5 end in there, like so. Oh, upside down.
See what you're doing?
You probably can't actually. So it goes in there, you put your cable in, but the cables actually come out the other side as well. So you don't have to worry about them all being exactly the same length. And then you just squeeze that together and it crimps it and it cuts off the excess. Pass-through cables are far, far easier and far quicker to do. And also, I've never used a pass-through, but I did do a quick one, which I've actually just put on the end of this one already. And it was just a much, much better experience than my previous crimper, which I've had for a good 10, 15 years. It's never really done me too wrong, but there has been the occasional time where I've not crimped a cable properly. Probably my fault, to be honest with you. Someone's bound to say, and Kath's got her hand up, I'm not even going to look at the screen, but I'm sure that someone's going to say, you should have got a ratchet crimper. But I wanted to try this, and they don't actually do this in a ratchet version, because you don't kind of need it. You don't need the ratchet tension on it. What was your... Lukey.
I like that idea.
Go to the pet store, get a kitten, name it 7. When it grows up, you have Cat 7. Oh, God. Dear Lord.
We could get 3 and then it could be Cat 7 anyway. 3 kittens.
Matthew says tie it to a cat to run it.
I think we thought of that, but it was too deep, wasn't it?
Yes,
We
were. Yeah, I did consider that, because we've actually cut 2 holes in the floor, actually 3 holes. One at Kath's desk, one at my desk, and one where the switch is in the front room, or like the kind of the communications area. And I was tempted to put a cat, tie the cable to the collar, and get it to run through and like entice it with tuna or something. It probably would have worked.
But it was too far down to get them out.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually quite excited to do this. It does actually have, I just noticed a Raleigh's comment there, am I going to be using Type A or Type B cabling? I think in general, I tend to use, I'm going to have to look at this now. Yeah, generally I use B. Although I think you can use A and B together on the same network, but not on the same end of the cable. I could be wrong on that. John Sullivan says RJ11 is telephone. Thank you. Yes, I thought it was. I didn't think RJ45 sounded right, but then it didn't for some reason. You know when you say something and you think, that just don't sound right. Why have I said that? Anyway, this is very cool. I like it. Thank you, Kath, for my birthday present that I bought myself out of my own money.
You're welcome.
This kit with the crimping tool, 50 ends, I think it was those ones. Did I buy the armoured ones or did they come with it? Anyway, basically you get lots of stuff. You get a little instruction manual, so if like me you are a little bit of an idiot, then you can basically read it and go, oh yeah, that's how to do it. Alright, there is... that's what it did, right. So, I bought those separately, so that's 50 pass-through ends. But they also said, it said it comes with 50 ends, but it didn't. It comes with 25 of the shielded ones, but it comes with the boots as well, clear boots, which are like anti-snag boots. So if you're trying to pull a cable backwards through a hole, it covers it up so you can pull it through. And it's, yeah, I very rarely use those, to be honest with you. Normally they tend to be rubber. So yeah, you get the 25 ends, you get the 25 boots, you get the wire stripper, croning tool, you get the instruction manual. There is actually on there as well a really good wire cutter. I've actually used it already, like I said, on that one, it's good. And it comes with some spare blades as well, so if you get to the point where the blades are getting a little bit dull on there, then you can just replace the blades. I think it's about 25, 26 quid for the lot, which, if you take into account the price of the cable, so say that was 40 quid for argument's sake, say 70 quid for the whole lot, you try doing a good few meters of network cabling for 70 quid with pre-made cables. It's just so expensive. Like, I think a 15-meter cable at the moment is somewhere around like 25, 30 quid. And you can make hundreds of them on there. Well, not hundreds. No, yeah, you can. You can actually make hundreds of them. Or tens of them. 30 of them, roughly. 25. Math has never been my strong point. You do the math. I'm not. I refuse. So there will evidently be some videos coming up on that. And the reason I've got that much cable is because we've recently had our loft converted. Well, not converted. We've had our loft hatch done, and also now so we've got access. So I can run cables previously where it was hard work to do. So I'm going to run them up the outside of the house, in line with the drain pipes to cover them up, then take them through the loft space,
Not to cover the drain pipe.
and then down the drain pipes on the other side of the house, and then back into the house. Potentially some might go under the house as well, but that I'm struggling with. But I'm going to try and do some videos on that so you can see my trials and tribulations, of which no doubt there will be many, because doing anything on a slightly older house is hard work. It really is. Right, so what have I missed? Riley, I really hate crimping and a ratchet would be best. I knew I was going to get that comment. I knew it. For ratchet, if you're doing the traditional style crimping without the pass-throughs, I think a ratchet one does make a lot more sense. It does cost more money, but it will make it worthwhile. But if you're doing the pass-throughs, you don't really want it to kind of have too much pressure, because otherwise you might actually damage the cable and then not get a connection. O'Reilly says a cable type A to type B is known as a crossover. Yeah. The reason why I was doing that as well, because of Ugly Bob, because he sent over the Nick Giga 2.5 gigabit Ethernet card for me to check out. Because I don't have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet switch yet, I was going to make up a crossover cable and do a network between the two for testing purposes. So potentially I might have to do that as well. Then I'm going to also buy possibly a Cat7 crossover cable and see if having a Cat7 cable actually gives you better data throughput than a Cat5e for 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. I don't think it will do, but I might try that. Yeah, Ugly Bob saying yes, you can use A and B on the same network, but not on the end of the cable. Both ends must be either A or B. I think with most of the cables you can pretty much do whatever you want in terms of the actual layout, as long as they're exactly the same both ends. I think. I'm pretty sure that is right. Matthew Day says the VGA plug with the screw posts is the ultimate can't pull through a tangle backwards plug. I would go one further. I will trump your VGA plug with a DVI-D plug because they're a bit wider. Those are absolute hellish. And actually the old 25 pin serial cable or the parallel printer cable, that was one which is always a nightmare to pull through any wiring space, especially if you had the little metal lugs on the outside edge which would get stuck. Oh God, glad we don't have these anymore. Right, anyway, that's yeah, that's that done. Let's take a look at the case. I better put the other light on. Blimey, words is hard. Hey Daisy, still alive? Well done. Keep it up. I'm trying not to get too much fur on my chair. Ah, there is young Maisie. Hey Mabes. Wagwan. She's actually staying there for a little while. Who'd have thunk it? Oh,
your new
God.
bed. Don't want to be up there.
Oh, that's going to be reflecto porn, calf. Maisie, get your tail out of the way.
You're going to see Flamey.
Where's Poppy gone?
Poppy Dawn. She's out in the garden somewhere.
God, just look. I'm watching the stream on Calf's computer over there, and it's a good half an hour behind, I think.
Saturday night, isn't it?
Actually, that worked out right, looking at the screen there, because the cat's tail was in the way, so they couldn't see you anyway. There's Popadora. Right, Pops?
She's been helping you in the garden digging holes.
She has been helping dig holes in the garden today, which I'm very thankful for. Honest. Paul Lamont says, what if Carlsberg made better networks? Yes, they would. That'd be good. Letters Mike's Kitty channel. Oh, yeah, John Sullivan says SCSI cables. I was lucky that I never had any SCSI stuff. I think I went straight from parallel to USB. I missed out SCSI. I know people that did have SCSI stuff, and it just, yeah, it was scary, scary stuff. Cheers, everybody. So, this is... Go on, that went down the wrong way. This is the Gamemax Blackhole. I have many, many reservations about this case. I'll be completely honest with you. Now, a lot of you, well, possibly not a lot of you actually watching now, but over the years, since this case has been out, and we've done a few Gamemax case reviews previously, a lot of people have said, Mike, can you please review the Gamemax Blackhole? Now, personally, I look at it, I see a sheet of glass on the front, I see minimal ventilation on the sides, and I'm thinking, I like barbecues, not inside my computer. So immediately, then I look at the price, and it's in the sort of £50 region, which is actually a super, super competitive area of the market. Like, ridiculously. There are so many good cases on the market at around about £50 that if you're a PC builder and you're either flipping PCs or you're doing it as a company and you're looking to maximize your profits and obviously get a case which looks nice but not spend too much money, this is going to be one of those cases where it's probably going to attract buyers, but it is going to be somewhat niche because of the fact that you've got two 200mm fans on the front. the RGB on it is actually quite minimal. So it caters for a lot of areas. The people that don't want to see a lot, but also those that do like a little smidgen of RGB. Yes, Kath?
Can you see if the AIA will fit at the top?
Can I see if the AIA will fit at the top? I can tell you straight away, no it won't. This case is not suited towards a top-mounted radiator at all. You can put in... Actually, let me have a look on the box a minute, just to clarify that. Because it does say on the box what it will actually take. And actually, it's probably a good idea to get this up now so you can actually see it. And we'll have a quick read through, just so I'm not misleading anybody. And you can see that it is actually on the screen. Oh, let's get rid of that. Clear that message a moment. Where's the... There he is. Right. Have you got... Or can somebody get a clear button? There we go. Has that cleared it? Yes, it has. Okay, so product specification time. Where's my pointer? I need my pointer. Where's my Bob's pointer? I'm going to be like this is old school classwork, where teachers used to point at the board, which you're not allowed to call it a board of any sort now. Right. So, first of all, case type, it is a mid-tower case. Model, black hole.
It reminds me of when you had that stick when you went for that wall.
It did, pointing stuff out. Motherboard type supports ATX, micro ATX and ITX. Why anyone would put an ITX motherboard in there, you'd have to be stark raving mad. Power supply takes an ATX PSU, bottom located. That doesn't mean you have to put the ATX PSU in your bottom, it means it goes in the bottom of the case. Just to clarify for anyone who may be having insertion issues. I/O panel, it has a USB 3.0 and a USB 2.0 and HD audio. Actually, you can't see that when I'm shining it on there, can you?
No.
I am a dick. Right, the important bit. Fan cooling system. So, front, two 200mm fans included. Rear, 120mm fan included. Top, 2 times 120 or 140mm fans optional. Water cooling system. Front is taking 120, 140, 240, 280, 360, optional. On the rear, 120mm, optional. Top, 120, 140, 240 and 280mm water cooling, optional. VGA card up to 340mm, CPU cooler height is 170. So that is the basics there. It does say, clearly, we've all just witnessed it, that it does support water cooling in that top section. Now, I'm going to say that it doesn't. For the reason being, we'll put the other light on and we'll take the side panel off so we can see inside. So, it's a relatively compact case. And some of that compactness, if that's even a word, compactness? Yeah, you know what I mean. So, glass side panel, a little bit on the... I like the mounting screws. The mounting screws are nice and easy to take on and take off. And if you drop them, obviously you can use Bob's screwdriver. Works very well. Taking the glass off, the glass has been done very cheaply. It's basically just the plain piece of glass. I don't even think it's 4mm. Let me just measure that a minute actually, because that was something I wanted to clarify in the review. So it's 3mm at best. So it's not particularly thick glass. It is tempered, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But it isn't the thickest of glass. Normally I prefer 4mm glass. Just gives me a little bit of extra reassurance. And I would like to have seen some kind of surround around the outside of the glass. I think that is... It looks cheap not having that these days, in my opinion. Yes, Kath?
My stream was dropping frames, but no, sorry, it was not.
Alright.
No,
Is it okay now? We good? Okay, awesome.
lazy boo-boo.
Doesn't say... No, we haven't dropped any frames there. Must be YouTube's end.
We'll get back in.
Yeah, the glass could be better. It's a 50 quid case. And I've actually seen it for more than that. I've seen it for 60 quid at CCL. No. Who was it? One of the companies. They're for 60 quid. For 60 quid, yeah. 50 quid, you can give and take a little bit. You do get the two 120mm fans on the front, and this is where the cost is coming from. So you've got this glass panel on the front. It's got a very kind of nice smoke tint to it. Got a lot of ventilation on the sides, to be fair. They have given, what, that's a good inch or so. Inch and, well, yeah, there's basically an inch, top to bottom. Each side, that bit is an inch. So it's a reasonable amount of room to get air through. Certainly more than you get on some cases, to be honest. But yeah, it's not ideal. Open airflow would have been better.
There's space for the front fans to move inside.
No, the front fans won't move inside, which is something which, if they'd have made it a little bit wider, it would have been preferable. And then to put the fans on the inside and maybe get rid of some of the extra metal, because that is something else. Whenever you have 200mm fans in a PC case, always, because you've got the flexibility of having 120s or 140s in here, you've always got that section in the inside there where you can mount the other fans. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. Yeah, you can kind of get that. So there's a lot of mounting frame area on the inside. So some of the fan is going to be blocked off anyway. That is always the case with these sorts of fans. I'm happy to say though that the fans themselves are very nicely RPM controlled, PWM control. They will go down as low as 300 RPM and their maximum speed is only 850. Now you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't sound very fast. But what you do have to consider here, look at the size of the hub in the middle of this fan. It's huge. And because of that, these fans have got a lot of torque. So even when it's spinning slowly, you try and stop it and it doesn't want to stop when it's running. So that means it's actually fighting. Like I said earlier on, this has got a lot of static pressure or potential kind of for overcoming the static pressure which you have on the front, which some of Gamemax's own cases previous, the F15, which is a favourite of mine, has got the same size fans, but they're not the same fans. They're very much a lot cheaper type fans. These are actually really substantial individual bits of kit. Again, this is probably adding to the price of it, because these fans they actually sell on their own. The model number, I haven't actually looked at the price yet, but the model number is GMX20 ARGB. So that means they actually sell these as a bona fide retail product, which I would imagine, I haven't looked, they've got to be selling them for 15 quid each, at least, if not 20. So if you look into it, it's a 50, let's say £55 case. Kind of a good portion of that is actually from those two fans. You've also got the matching fan on the back, which is basically a miniaturized version of it, which model number for that one is, I think it's FN12 Rainbow, I think it is. Just about, oh yeah, FN12 Rainbow-N. And that is essentially exactly the same fan, the lighting, etc. Even down to the kind of like the little side glow on the side is exactly the same. So yeah, just a miniaturized version of it. All nicely rubberized, tons of rubber padding on here. The fans are extremely quiet. I've been testing these today and they are ridiculously quiet.
At the end of the garden.
Yeah, the back one RPM range, did I write it down? Yes, I did. 500 RPM is the lowest and 1350 is the highest. And I would say anything up to probably 1200 and you don't even know it's on. They are very, very quiet. They do move a lot of air. Even this one, the 200mm ones, which generally don't move a great deal of air because they haven't got that much static pressure normally. These actually do seem to. So my concerns with this case is that the front panel is going to choke it off too much, and having the air coming in from the sides, then having to go 90 degrees is going to reduce the static pressure anyway, which is why I think personally that they've changed the fan design and put these fans on, which are they're big chunky fans and they're actually very heavy. There's a nice solid resin feel to them and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they are very nice fans. I'm actually looking forward to doing a build in this to prove myself either right or wrong. Now, one of our viewers, I can't remember who it was, did actually mention in the Discord chat, I think it was, about it, and that they've got one of their PCs set up in it, and they find it to be absolutely fine. No issues with cooling whatsoever. So I'm genuinely interested to see how well it fares. We're going to have a look now at the radiator mounting, because obviously that is what we were discussing or looking at earlier. Let's take that side panel off. I personally don't think that putting a radiator in here is a good idea. I think depending on your motherboard and your RAM, you're going to have clearance issues. The motherboard itself goes up to, I'm not even sure if you'll be able to get this on camera, but that is the motherboard mounting screw there and there. So there isn't a lot of room. Actually, if I measure the distance, so the top of the motherboard, or the leading edge of the motherboard, to the top of the case is pretty much bang on 35 millimeters. So case fans are going to be fine, because a case fan normally, like something like this, is going to be what? These are a bit thicker, because those are 20. They're right, 27. So a case fan normally is 25 mil. So just make sure I'm not. Yeah, about 25 mil. So if you add on a radiator, which is going to be another probably 25 or 30 mil, you are going to have a lot of hangover from it. Now you can take the top off, and if you have a look, there is quite an offset on the top. So if you imagine you've got a 240 in there, and you're keeping it to the side there, so that's your wider mounts there for the 140s or 280s. That's going to be your 240s. So there's actually quite a lot of overhang, which is pretty much, if I look at it from this direction, it is like that starts almost in line with the rear I/O, just slightly over from it. So if your RAM doesn't stick out any further than the height of your rear I/O shield, or your VRM heatsinks don't, then you can put a radiator in there, it's going to be absolutely fine. The only thing you will find is, obviously, if you want to take your RAM sticks out at some point, there's a strong chance that you might need to actually remove your radiator to take your RAM out, which is a pain in the ass. It's not something which you'd be like, oh god, I'm not going to buy that case purely because I'm going to have to take my radiator out to change my RAM. Some people might get quite pissed off about that. Personally, I would have liked to have seen the case be another maybe inch or two higher, and just have that clearance at the top, so you could put a radiator in there. Realistically, I'm guessing, obviously, if you look at the case, it's kind of designed to be an airflow type case, even though it's not, because it's the glass front. Whether or not water cooling in it, it's a really weird one. 50 quid on a case isn't cheap. So it's not like you're buying it as a cheap case to flip a PC and you're not going to put nice stuff in it. It's not an expensive case that you'd expect to see expensive stuff in it. So it's in that kind of weird middle ground. So if you wanted to, you could just build a cheap ass PC in there, like with a APU in there, and be done with it. It looks cool. Whether or not it would take up having a high-end processor and graphics card in there, I'm not sure. I don't know if the airflow is going to be enough, which is why I am genuinely looking forward to doing a build in it to see how challenged it is thermally due to that front panel. Like I said, somebody in our chat said that it's going to be absolutely fine. It breathes very well. You could, of course, if you want to, put a couple more fans in the top just to try and help pull that air through from the front. Although generally air is going to come in through the point of least resistance. So being that this is well open at the back, these are captive as well. These breakout bits on the back. The top, yeah, even the top one is. Again, it's a 50 quid case. Really kind of, it's not the end of the world, don't get me wrong. You wouldn't say, I'm not buying a case because it doesn't have removable PCI Express blank out plates. That it's not really something which is the end of the world. But you just think, like, they've obviously put a little bit of money into this. Either go the extra mile and put the PCI Express blanking plates in it. They don't even send out a spare or two spares. So if you pop some out, you can put them back in. It doesn't come with that. It does, however, come with a couple of nicer features. So we've got this removable hub in the back, which is nice to see that it's actually enclosed in a piece of plastic. So you've got I think it's a 5-port hub, is it? Yeah, 5-port hub for fans. Although, because obviously the way a fan hub works is it replicates a signal. So it takes a PWM signal off of the PWM cable, and it's going to send that same signal to all the fans that are connected to the hub. So you then are in a position of, right, so the front fans are clearly 200 mil, the back fan is 120 mil. So the RPM range for the front ones is going to be basically half of the rear one. So in order for the rear one, the rear one is going to be spinning at basically double the RPMs, slightly out, but around that sort of figure. So you would want the hub to take the RPM readings from possibly the front ones and have the rear one spinning at half the speed, I think. Personally, I think I'd probably just connect up the rear fan to the motherboard, take control of it from there, leave those two connected to the hub, and just have the hub as basically a 2-port hub. You can plug in a bunch more RGB stuff. There is a fly lead which tows to the motherboard. You've also got a brightness control actually built in. So there is a kind of connector, switch connector there, which goes up to the top. And you can control the RGB. If you haven't got RGB on your motherboard, you can press the 2 buttons there. One's brightness, one is the mode. So things like that, having a built-in controller and actually having the buttons on the front to control the modes and the brightness, do kind of scream cheap PC in a weird way. Sometimes getting more features in a case actually means it's a cheaper case, or it's intended for a cheaper market. So to have built-in RGB controls on a case normally means that it's going to be a cheaper motherboard which doesn't have built-in addressable RGB, that kind of stuff, which is normally how it works. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this case. I'm skeptical, definitely. I always am. I did say to Gamemax when I said, like, is there any chance of a review sample? People have been asking me to check it out, see what I think of it. Have you got one available? And they said, yeah, sure, no problem, we'll send you one. So fair play to Gamemax. They're very open. They don't really. They're like, yeah, have a look, see what you think. Just be honest. That's all you can be. And it's, well, okay, that's what I'm going to do. It may be to the detriment of sales. I don't know. Personally, I think. Tell you what, I'm going to put a power supply in there and I'll fire it up, and you can see why it's so popular. The look is definitely what sells it, in my opinion. Where is the power supply? I'm going to upset somebody now, because everybody hates this power supply. Here we are, Old Faithful. This is our active PFC. I think it's a 200 watt power supply. Came out of an old Gateway PC, I think it was, years and years ago. It says, with active noise killer. You can tell how old it is because it hasn't even got an off switch on the back. It's basically permanently live. But we're going to put it in. Calf, do not say bang. Someone's already put that in, haven't they? No, they haven't. There's too much of a delay. So, is there any questions that I've missed out so far, Calf? Can you let me know? Please? Raza says the snap-off back PCI Express brackets was one of the things that put me off buying the Gamemax Blackhole. Oh, there we go. O'Reilly says I love that PSU. Buggy Bob says triggered.
Michael Smith asks, is it an ATX or?
It can be used as ATX. Ideally, ATX would be what I would suggest. Well, you can put a micro ATX motherboard in here if you wanted to. I probably wouldn't, but with the black hole, because of part of the kind of the shtick of what the black hole is all about, it's actually got quite dark glass. So if you put a micro ATX board in there, you're probably not going to notice it as much as what you would normally anyway. Sorry, just looking at the comments and that. Someone's put a bang. That's a letter. Thanks, a letter. Glenn says, I saw a build briefly that marked MC87 done in this case, and the airflow seemed decent, and the big fans are super quiet. Yeah, they definitely are. I'm not going to be able to get the fans running at the moment because the fan hub needs to be connected physically to a motherboard in order to get the fans to spin. So I'll say that now. I cannot get the fans to spin currently because I suppose I could. I've got Gamemax's other hub, but that thing's pretty awful. But maybe no, I won't. I won't tempt too much fate. I'll tell you what, I know for a fact straight away what is going to be causing me grief. If I do a video on this and people buy it and they build one, they'll be straight away in the comments, how do I connect? Oh, my RGB doesn't work. What have I not done? And what they've done is the power supply is underneath there. So if I tilt it around, you just might see there's a SATA plug on the bottom, which almost, well, let's say a large percentage of PC builders won't even bother looking for. They'll be straight on the internet trying to look for why their thing doesn't work. I would imagine that probably people will RMA this case purely because the RGB doesn't work, because they didn't realise they had to plug that in. Because it isn't totally obvious. It does say on the bottom SATA power, but most PC builders don't read instructions or things. I'll tell you a funny story this week. You guys are going to love this. It's going to sound like I'm being a bit of a dick, but sometimes you do have to be a bit of a dick in order just to get your message across to people. Now, we had someone on our Discord this week, in fact, and they were trying to flash their motherboard BIOS. And we're going through the kind of the basic troubleshooting things. They're saying like it's not working, etc., etc. And as we're getting into a bit more depth of it, it became apparent that they had a Gigabyte motherboard. It's fine, no problem. Gigabyte motherboards, excellent boards. We like them a lot, generally, when they work. But we're getting into a bit more detail, and it's like, well, so which file are you trying to flash here? Because what's going on? And then it turns out that they're using the video I did on an MSI B550 motherboard to flash their Gigabyte motherboard. So, at which point I became a little bit perplexed by the whole situation. And I'm like, seriously, you're trying to flash a Gigabyte motherboard with an MSI BIOS, and you're actually renaming the file for your Gigabyte motherboard with MSI.ROM.
Yeah, but if you didn't know anything about computers, maybe you don't know that MSI is a different brand.
I get that. I get that not everybody knows the difference between it. Like, some people don't know the difference between a Ford and a Vauxhall, or a Chrysler and a Dodge, whatever the case may be. I understand that there is that to it. But if you're watching a video on how to do one of these kind of things, and oh, that's not stayed in there very well. Yeah, you're watching a video on it. At which point do you realise that the motherboard actually in the video looks nothing like the one that you're actually using, or is a completely different size, shape, brand? It just, yeah, I don't know if it's just one of those days where there was quite a few questions and comments, and it was all getting a bit much, and it's like, come on, really? Like, come on, just use some common sense. And I did feel a bit bad, actually. I got over it pretty quick. So yeah, that was I think that was more out of frustration, really. It does make me wonder, like, we're having a conversation, like, are people in general just getting more lazy? And I say that we're all guilty of it at some points. Now, there's some things that I've needed to learn or to find out for doing YouTube videos, especially when it comes to photography stuff, because I ain't got a clue, I really haven't. So there has been times where I've just looked for the quick and simple answer, and I've not looked into things in great depth. But I do feel that I wouldn't go looking for Elgato help on a Avid site or something like that. I don't think I would anyway. I think I would know the difference. But everybody wants that kind of quick answer, and it's just like...
Quite often they put a question on the actual video without, you can tell they haven't
Yeah.
watched it.
Yeah, people do that a lot. Ask a question on the video,
Which you know
and it's
in the
like,
video.
I know I've said it in the video repeatedly.
How many fan headers?
Yeah, Bob's the worst one. How many fan headers does that jigsaw have? None.
How many fan headers? Bang!
Too late. That's why I didn't say it. So, that is this PC's kind of main selling point. Actually, can you turn the lights off, please, Kath?
No, because it's reflective porn.
That's right. That's probably going to reflect the other thing in the back now, isn't it?
Ouch.
Sorry, I'm looking at the screen now to see. That's that light out. That's that light out. Oh, it's that thing, isn't it? There we go. So hopefully you can see what it's like now. So it is quite blacked out and quite stealthy looking. So you can probably understand what I mean now. If you can put a micro ATX board in there, I don't think anyone would notice at all. And the main selling point is the look. If you don't like this look, this case clearly is not for you. And you can change the lighting style just by pressing the button on the top. There's actually some quite nice baked in themes and colours. One thing I think...
Turn it around so you can see through that vent. There's a sight, so you can see colour on the side view.
Oh yeah.
Go on with your stuff.
What, somebody want to see that?
No, I just wondered.
Oh, because they can see you.
No, no. Yeah, they can.
They can see you more now.
I know, but I was just wondering about that side there, if you can see the colour through.
So the side bit you can see the colours through.
That's quite
And
funky, really.
I like it. I think the look of it is pretty decent. Let's find... Yeah, that's Rainbow Puke. And you can adjust the brightness. So you can turn the brightness right down or just off if you don't... If you don't like RGB, you can just turn it off from there and just turn the brightness off. So you don't have to hook it up. It's not overly bright anyway, to be honest. But I think if you're building a minimalist or a more minimalist PC, it's not outrageously RGB. It's a nice look to it, I think. Don't know, let me know what you think in the comments. And the fact that you can see the side little bit through there as well, and the front at the same time, it kind of gives a strange illusion of depth, in my opinion. And there is going to be a little bit of room for it to breathe on the side. And luckily, because of the way that 200mm fans work, they don't always need to have direct airflow in front of them to work as well as they would normally. Now clearly, when I'm doing some tests on this, I'll do the unboxing, I'll do the build, I'll do the tests with the front panel on, and I'll also do the test with the front panel off. I'm pretty sure that with the front panel off, it's going to drop, I would argue, possibly between 2 to 5 degrees is my estimate. Maybe more. But that is my estimate. I don't think it's going to make as big a difference as I initially thought it would. It would have been nicer if they'd have just given it a little bit more, just another ½ inch to get a little bit more airflow in on the sides. I think it would have been really good. For a high spec PC, it's probably not going to be an ideal. I would say a lower spec PC or mid-range PC, so like Ryzen 5 3600 and a RX 6600. That sort of level system, I think is where this is going to be its kind of happiest point. If you start going into things like the 5800, even a 5900, 5950, I think it's going to start struggling. Personally, that's my initial expectations. I could be completely wrong. And probably I will be. I have been before many times. It happens a lot. Anyway, I think it's got a really nice look. I do like that design And with the little peely bit off the front, actually, yeah, it does pop. It really does pop. And they are spaced back just enough, in my opinion, so that it doesn't look like there's too much depth or they're too recessed. Yeah, let's have a look and see what your comments are. Dutch Jan says the fans have to go further back, time to grab the Dremel. Lucky Man says, I like that view, lol, sexy calf. I have F15, like the look of those fans, says Mark Berry. Dave Jock says, Ravin V that case. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you.
I have that case, maybe.
Dom says, the build is done. Now I can crack open a beer and relax for the rest of the stream. Thumbs up. Who is enjoying Saturday evening? Thanks, Dom. Mark MC says, I have a Gamemax 15M case with the meshed front and the 200mm fans. They are so similar to the 15M. Airflow is awesome. What else we got? Stuart Cleary says, if only it was available in white. Yeah, that'd be a bit hard with the black hole. You have to call it the white hole. Or white hole. And then, yeah, that's not going to go down well. Anyway, stick those lights back, or stick a light back on, please, Kath. If you wouldn't mind. If you'd be so kind. Blimey. So, yeah. I think put in a radiator in. Well, I can put the radiator in there if you want me to. Let me know in the comments. Do you want me to put a radiator in there to see if how it will fit? I don't think you'll really get the full kind of feel for it unless there's a motherboard in there as well and a processor and all that kind of stuff. But certainly, if you want me to, then I will do that. Although I probably won't, to be honest with you. John says, nice RGB fans. Rick H says, nice looking case. Matthew Day says, is that two-way shuttle mode? Not seen that before. Oh, what's that? The lighting. Yes, it is actually. Well spotted. There is actually some, I don't know, is that the brightness? No, that's the reset button. Don't use the reset button.
They should make it in brown and call it the starfish. Mark, point.
Right, so you get, this is another one of the RGB looks. That one's a little bit strange. Something I've noticed already, and I don't know if any of you have picked up on it, you probably not, but you might have, is the fact that even though the fan in the back is doing the same thing, it's actually doing it on a different rotation. So the fans here are rotating that way generally, and I think the one in the back is actually doing the opposite. Yeah, so those are going that way, the one in the back is going that way. So although it does look the same, they've wired them differently so it doesn't do the same. Which you'll notice more so on certain setups. It doesn't make a bit of difference really. I suppose if you wanted to, you could turn the fan around, but most people won't. So that's quite a nice RGB sort of theme, taking on from the kind of the original Aurora Sync rainbow style, but just adding a little bit more flavour to it. Then is this the statics? Static yellow. And then flashing or fading yellow. Red. And the colour build up. I quite like these effects actually. But it's effects like this which normally you would associate with a cheaper PC, i.e. someone who doesn't have addressable RGB on their motherboard. Of course, you don't have to use your motherboard's addressable RGB if it's got it, but I think most people, if they have got it, they would like to use it to keep all the other components in sync, or at least attempt to anyway. clearly if you're using just rainbow puke, it's going to be fine either way. Come on, anytime today. What's that done now? Is that doing the same thing? Yeah. So then you got these bizarre colours. I don't know why they've done this. This is a slightly unusual colour scheme in my opinion, because there's no red or pink in it. So this is just...
No pink in the black hole?
There's no pink in the black hole. Now there's red in the... That's quite nice.
Quite vivid. I don't know if it's coming out on the camera as much
Yeah.
as it is in real life.
It is. The colours are very, very vivid. So the red... Yeah, that's going through like a cycle. In a weird way.
That was pink.
Then we've got rainbow puke. Is that going to be going both ways? No, that's traditional rainbow puke. And you got that sort of rainbow puke. Which seems to be missing a little bit of red. Lots of blue. Lots of green. Fantastic. There's that. I'm not sure what you call that. Yeah, some very unusual colours going on here. Is that going both ways? Isn't it? Yes, I think we've been round now. Yeah, I think we've been round now. So anyway, you get the idea. It's a very different look, which is going to definitely appeal to a certain market. I said to Gamemax before, because he said to me there was a bunch of cases they had coming out all in one go, and they all had like a very unusual look to them. And I wasn't trying to be offensive or anything, but I was saying I don't think that your current line of cases are going to appeal to our regular viewers. So our normal viewers I would consider is kind of like English, American, Australian and European. Probably a few others in there as well. Indian market as well to some extent. Probably not so much kind of South American, that sort of stuff. And I would be surprised if we got any viewers in the kind of Asian markets. You never know, anyway. But I was thinking that their PC design was beginning to appeal more to that Asian market where it's more, not over the top, but just more elaborate. So more shapes, more colours, more kind of gadgety gizmo things going on. Whereas traditionally in the kind of more kind of reserved markets, I guess you would call it, especially American and the English markets, people like just clean lines. I guess we've all been kind of brainwashed a little bit by IKEA, by the kind of simplicity of clean lines and stuff. So having something which is very understated or very simple and clear lines, like NZXT, that is why they did so well, because their cases were very kind of understated for a long time. The S340 was a very good example of that. Things like the fractal cases, the Meshify to some extent, a little bit less, but their cases were going down a route which had lots of shapes and angles and lights and all that kind of stuff. And I think people do, in general, especially for the markets that we kind of tend to cater to more so, they prefer this kind of thing. Now this obviously is a little bit more because you've got 200mm fans which are a little bit over the norm, and the RGB, I don't know, I would say it's kind of tasteful. RGB generally can't always be tasteful, but I think that in itself is, because you haven't got, all the blades aren't lit up, so it's just an accent really. And overall it's actually a very kind of, almost like a stock case. It's just square, well, rectangular lines, so there's nothing really going on. It's not busy or anything. So you could do quite a nice build in there, and it would look in keeping in most places, like a gamer's room, fine. A student's room, fine. My room, fine. Do you know what I mean? It's you don't look at it and go, wow, what happened there? Did someone have a trigonometry explosion? It's not like that. It's quite understated, which I prefer. Like the Gamemax Commando, another excellent example of a very understated case, which looks really nice. And I suppose the Gamemax F15, which was one of the more popular ones, it was kind of a little bit aggressive looking, but for good reason, because it had all that mesh and you knew it was targeted for airflow. Anyway, I'm digressing massively. Is there any questions I can answer on this case, or have you seen enough? I'm unplugging it. I'll have a quick look on the bottom, just for anyone who's interested. There isn't a...
On the black hole.
Looking at the bottom of the black hole, it's raised off the ground quite nicely, which would have been better if there was more holes in the bottom, but there isn't. You've got thumb screws, which are way too hard. So you need a screwdriver for the thumb screws for the first time. Loosen her up a bit. Happy days. Ashley says, good case to mod. Someone said about Tron, if you get the Tron disc vinyl made and put it on the glass with the blue outline from the LEDs, it would look quite cool. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. Ordinary Dude says, if you like RGB, I guess it's okay if you like RGB. You know me, I do. Danielle says, we have lots of painted case parts, painted panels, and coated black hardware. Yes, we do. Dave Jock says, can I cool my drinks in it? You probably could if you wanted to. Bit of a waste of a case, but you definitely could. So, stock grill fan on there. Actually, let's have a look and see what the mesh is like on the bottom. I'm hoping it's hexagonal, because other ones tend to be a little bit noisy. Yep, hexagonal, excellent. That's always a good shout. Hexagonal mesh on a case makes so much difference. It's just the ideal kind of thing for airflow and for reducing turbulence, which a lot of manufacturers don't take advantage of. They just punch out holes. But hexagonal mesh is very, very good. Captain Meat says, Mike, would you ever go to Zihi? Don't know where that is, if that's what it's supposed to be. Ugly Bob says, Tron build. Yeah, I'm not sure. Tron. It has got that kind of Tron look to it, hasn't it?
What does Tron wear?
Not a lot. They do actually do an RGB strip, which is so diffused that it looks like the whole thing is one like Tron line. Those would look quite good in here as an outline, but you probably wouldn't see them too much because of how blacked out it is. I'll tell you what would look really nice now actually is AMD's Wraith Prism cooler, because you've got that circle, the RGB circle. That would look good. Or what else has got that sort of circle? It's going to have to be quite a narrow... Oh, actually. Yeah, there's the... I'll stand up and not make sure I've stood on anything. The Akasa, the Soho H4, because it's got that same style RGB light on the back. So that would go perfectly in there. Joseph. What are your thoughts on it so far? I have a CIT flash RGB case, so I need better airflow. GPU temps like 83 degrees Celsius, I need a new case. Yeah, the CIT flash is... A flash? Yeah. One of those cases where it doesn't lend well to cooling. For lower end PCs it's fine, but it is a little bit of a hot box. Personally, I don't know. It depends what you're going for and what you've got in there. I'm thinking it's not going to be like a full-on airflow case, clearly, because there's glass in the front. It can't be. But that doesn't mean it isn't going to breathe reasonably well. And there is a lot of cutout on the side. I would almost be tempted to take out the two 200mm fans and put three 120s in and put a 360mm rad in the front. That would, for some certain setups, that would look amazing. because you wouldn't have to worry too much about dust, because obviously glass front, so when the airflow's got to come in on an angle, because it reduces the kind of the flow of the air, it also reduces dust, which is another reason why there's no dust filter on this. So when you take the front panel off, there's no dust filter. Behind here, it's just the glass. No dust filter at all, but you don't really need it. Unless you're in a particularly dusty environment, or you're deliberately put, like, say you're a baker and you're throwing flour in the air for some stupid reason, then yeah, you might want an air filter, but then you probably want a different case, to be honest. But yeah, the cases like this, very rarely do they pick up much dust at all. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I am genuinely intrigued. I'm tempted to just take all the stuff out of my own PC and put it in here, which is the 3900X and a 5700. And if it copes with that, then it should pretty much cope with anything. Well, within reason. The fit and finish on it is okay. There's some elements of it I've noticed already, whether or not it was done in shipping or not. There is a very, very slight indentation in these top corners, or something's pressed down on it, I think. Now, obviously, it could be the fact that they've sent me a review sample because it's got a little knock in it. It's not huge, but I can definitely, in certain lightings, I can see it. I can't see it here, but if I stand on a certain angle, I can see it a little bit. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. These bits on the back, those, for a £50 case, those should be removable and replaceable. They really should. I'm not overly keen on the retention mechanism on this. Those kind of slot things, they're a little bit on the annoying side. But it's all part of keeping the cost down. Normally you'd have the kind of external screws on cheaper cases because it's just easier to make, so you can fold out the parts. The ones that normally have them retaining on the inside, normally it's a more expensive process. So yeah, it's not a bad case. It's not necessarily a good case, and arguably it's kind of its main competitor, I would say, really is going to be, like it always is with Gamemax, it's going to be their own case. So the F15 is going to be the one which really, if you like this kind of look, then the F15 or the F15M, M is the mesh one, the F15 is the glass one. So yeah, the M15 is probably what I would probably go for, even though that's a bit dearer now. So you're looking at the next tier up, like £60, maybe 65 in some places. This is kind of in the 40 to 50 bracket, sometimes a little bit higher. Depends where you can get it from. If you can get it somewhere cheap, like if this was 35, 40 quid, I'd be like, yeah, it makes a ton of sense, just get it. At 50 to 60, there's so many choices out there. It's a really hard thing to kind of fathom. I love cases, PC cases, and there's just so many to choose from. Yes?
Sounds like I love big butts on Joseph.
Let me put this down a minute so I can see what you guys are saying. Ugh. I don't want to just swing this down because the metal might not like it. There we go, awesome. Right, let's have a look at some of your questions and finish my drink. Okay. Joseph.
Right, bottom.
All right. Okay. Joseph will run a RTX 2060 and a 5600. Do you have a go-to RGB case you'd recommend for airflow? ATX or micro ATX is good. Looking at the TD500 from Cooler Master. Depends on what style you like, really. Surprisingly, I'm actually a big fan of the MSI Vampiric, the 100R, and I think there's a 100M as well. Those are actually really nice, and you can get them quite cheaply. In fact, that's what I'm using on my my own personal rig as we speak. Just looking over, it is actually on. What else is there? The Gamemax Commando is quite a nice one. That surprisingly has got good airflow, even though it shouldn't have. It really does. Welly Bob says, would those fans go in the F15? I don't think they would. I would need to measure the thickness. They look like they're the same mounting. I'm also looking at whether or not the Noctua fans would fit in there. I don't think the Noctua ones will, although they do look a very similar design. Actually, I might even try that. I'm gonna see if this is gonna be the first case ever that I'm not gonna get electrocuted. That will actually fit the Noctua 200mm fans in. I'm thinking they won't, because the Noctua 200mm fans are ridiculously big. Well, 200mm, but they're thick as well. Thick as a brick and chocolatey. Lub, 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 lub. Club advert, isn't it? Remember that?
Like good chocolate.
If you like a bit of chocolate on your biscuit, join our club. Front panel comes off nice and easy, eh? It's always a good thing. Actually, I could just hold this up against it, couldn't I? Before I start taking screws out, because I know it's not going to fit. Which bit is going to be problematic?
How much is the MSI one?
MSI one you can pick up for like 30 quid. Or at least you could. It might have gone up a bit now. Might be 40.
So what your budget?
If not, go to eBuyer. Go to look at the Neutron Labs cases. Those are good. Neutron Labs Galaxy W07. So what are we going to do here? Do you know what? No, that might actually fit. Are they the same? I think it's a little bit thicker. You know what? We might actually be onto an actual winner. This will be the first one. The first PC case that I've actually managed to find that fits the Noctua 200mm fans. If it does, I'd buy it for that.
Off topic.
Off topic? Yeah. I'd love a topic. I haven't had a topic in ages.
I see your wireless keyboard mouse. Do they share one dongle? I use separate dongles and playing Valorant, buffering is the right thing.
Yes, the keyboard and mouse I've got here is the Logitech K295. And yeah, it's just a single dongle, if that was the question. I should say as well, ladies and gentlemen, those of you watching, I am still reviewing the Dr. Swatch deodorant, and I've currently had this t-shirt on now for 5 days. Technically it's longer. No. What day is it? No, 5 days? No, 6 days. And it still smells fresh as a daisy.
Even though you're sweating,
And I was sweating like...
you're sore.
Yeah, I was sweating like a... I was sweating like Johnny Depp in a witness stand. Were we allowed to say that? Too soon? Right, let's see if I can put that through over there. If this fits, this would be mighty impressive. Although, it will have pretty much zero airflow, I think, because it will be a bit close. Oh no! Oh yeah, that did work. Just about. Just leave me hanging. Actually, this will be the defining moment. No, the screw doesn't go all the way through. Damn it. So, yeah, the screw only goes through a little bit of it, so physically it's...
Where's the other screws? Or is that the same screws?
That's the same one. I'm trying to work out where the mounting points actually... I don't think the mounting points even match up. Match it up. No, that ain't gonna go. Yeah, and it also, where the case clips on, there's a hole just there. So, no. Yet another case. I can't believe, I specifically asked Noctua to send these fans out. Because I said, look, I've got this great case. This, it takes 200mm fans, but I want to make it into a stealth case. I want to get rid of the fans that are in there. This is for the Gamemax F15. It's like, oh, that's going to be so good with these Noctua fans in there. It's going to be really stealthy and really quiet. And they didn't fit. I was absolutely gutted. But that is life. It happens. One day I'll find a case that these physically fit. And then they'll probably be like, oh, no, they didn't move my chair. Don't like them. Don't want that one. Alright, so just you see that there is the fan. It is a chunky fan. It really is. And the blades are like super thick as well. Feel the airflow. Alright, let's get these back in. Which one is it over there? So who's been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and what are your thoughts on it? I'll be honest with you, I've seen a few little snippets of it. It doesn't really interest me, to be honest. It's one of those things that it's like, it's all just a big bloody circus, isn't it? Probably to take our minds off of the actual real stuff going on in the world, but I suppose there are elements of it which are quite amusing. Aletta says, wow, I felt the air right through my monitor. Powerful fans. Ordinary Dude says, I imagine the airflow would improve noticeably with 3 120mm fans due to the cutouts. Yeah, that is, again, that's another kind of secondary issue of this, is the cutouts. All of the cases which use these sort of fans, they all suffer in the same way. That it's just not an ideal setup. 200mm fans on a PC. There's very few cases which get it right and get it properly right. And even the original Gamemax F15, they could have made it much better by just saying, right, we're not going to give backwards compatibility to 120mm fans. It's going to be 200mm is going to be it. And then they could have chopped out the bits that weren't necessary. And it would have increased the airflow reasonably. It doesn't make a massive amount of difference, but you know what it's like. Everybody does the same thing. We all watch Steve from Gamers Nexus, and he's like, oh, there's a bit of metal there. That's going to stop airflow. And then suddenly everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to stop the airflow. It's going to choke and die. Which clearly it isn't. It's not going to be a problem at all. But people do kind of take some of the stuff we hear online a little bit too literally. Get a little bit upset about it all. And most of the time it doesn't make any difference. Or at least it makes a minimal difference. Let's plug that back in there. I suppose actually while I got this out, I should show you in the back there. So you've got the hub there, a massive cutout here for water cooling or for custom CPU mounts on the back. An absolutely huge area. They must have saved a lot of metal there. 2 removable bays for 2.5-inch drives. Lots of tie down points. Actually a decent amount of room on the back. You got about 1 inch of clearance. Just slightly under 1 inch of clearance there for cabling. Something which is a little bit not so good. The pass-through for the EPS connector here. It's one of those ones where it's kind of like on a L, like a bracket shape. So they've cut out the top bit and they cut out the side bit. So rather than being one big cutout, it's kind of like 2 merged into one. They've done the same there. If I tilt it around, you can just see. So it's cut out top and bottom. It's fine. You can get cables through there, just because again, it hasn't got that extra like inch of height, which would have made it a much better case in my opinion. Yeah, you'd have that extra room at the top, which would have been really good. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm waiting for someone to say my stuff don't work, my RGB don't work. I've plugged everything in. I've literally plugged everything in. It's like, did you plug the SATA lead into the controller? Oh no, didn't know it needed a SATA lead. It's gonna happen. I get it all the time from the, what was the one, oh, what was it the Gamemax Void? I think it was the Void. And that had this, a similar sort of setup, but the controller had just like gold fingers showing. Gold fingers. And you had to plug in the SATA connection, which it didn't even say in the manual. So to be fair with that, yeah, I could hardly blame people for that. Although I did show it in the video, so if they'd have actually just watched it for a few minutes rather than just jumping straight into the comment section, they would have probably learned a thing. Oh, that didn't sound clever. I don't like this back panel, it doesn't go on very well. There we go. Needs a little bit of movement.
The Guardian of Azeroth wants to know how big this fans are. I think it's fans.
You what? I don't know, I'll read them out. Aletta says, I'm sure the trial is happening to cover some political scandal. No. I think that's a definite thing. I think that's definitely a thing. Ordinary Dude says, I think Amber's full of crap. I think, to be honest with you, it's equal measures of crap from both of them. And being that they, a certain Mr. Depp, allegedly, likes to dabble in certain varieties of booger sugar. Let's say. So anybody who's had copious amounts of booger sugar in their lifetime, or alcohol, or insert drug of choice here, there's always going to be the possibility that they may have a slightly different recollection to things that happened than things that actually happened. We've all done it. We've all been out. We've all got peed right up, or had a particularly heavy night on the sherbet, and someone said to you, "Do you remember such and such?" And you're like, "No, wow, did that actually happen?" It's like, yes, I have photographic evidence of you with said donkey. So, yes, alcohol and stuff like that can dramatically change the outcome of certain escapades. And any drugs can. And I'm not saying that alternatively, obviously, Ms. Heard is 100% an angel. I think there's equal amounts of shenanigans going on between them. Ashley says, yeah, you can't beat a good superstar courtroom case for America. We in the UK need to up our game. Yeah, we should... no, I can't say... no, I'm not going to say that. Dave says, Mike, do you want a cup of tea? No, I'm good, thank you. I've got a cup of tea over there, actually. Lucky Man says, cry on demand. I wish I could. Riley says, so Mike, you have some 200mm Noctua fans. If you can't get to use them yourself, I might be interested in buying them if you can sell them. Well, they've literally been sat on the shelf for 2 years doing nothing. I don't think I'm ever going to find a case for them, so yeah. I'm sure they'll end up winging their way to you. Dom says, tip for Noctua 200mm fans, go to the Noctua page and look at the compatibility of cases for those fans solved. Yes, I did look. It's not a particularly long list. And they don't say 100% either, do they, I don't think. It was a while since I looked at it, to be honest with you, so I might have to have a look at that. Ordinary Dude says, come on, nobody got my joke. That's good. Let's rewind a bit. I didn't see that. Where are we? I think Amber is full of crap. Her bed is. I recall something about crapping in a bed. That's the only thing I know.
I think it was fairly bad bed that wasn't it? I think. Amber Turd. Hashtag.
Alexa says, my drug of choice is guitars and basses. Very intoxicating drugs indeed. Stuart says, I think most people are not watching it. It's a distraction. It's sad that it's come to the point that our entertainment is basically two people's lives crumbling. It's pretty sad, really. Ashley says, take the fans out, put a Raspberry Pi inside the front panel and run the most crazy sleeper retro build. That's got a good idea. Dave says, Mike, what do you think of the Keeders PC case on Amazon? A bit too much RGB or no? I've not seen it. I'll have to take a look at that one. Ugly Bob says, didn't Johnny Depp lose his finger on one of those Not Your 200mm fans? Yeah, he might have done. He really needs to step up his game with his PC building. He's not quite on Superman level yet. Captain Me's Adventure says, Mike, what about a range of mob cases designed by you? I would love to design a case. In fact, there is cases on the market which I know are like an ODM, which other companies use, is very, very cheap, and I am almost 100% certain that I could make a much better case of it than they have. Just by actually seeing the different cases. And if I'm hoping that one day Arctic Cooling, or Arctic, will do another PC case. They did one ages ago. Two, in fact. I'm trying to think of it. I think it was Silentium T1 and Silentium T2, I think, from memory. And they were really nice cases. Very airflow optimized, very quiet as well. And it'd be nice to see them come back into the PC case market. Unlike Antec, who Antec used to make some amazing cases. The Lamboy, most people have probably had a 900 series case from Antec. Pretty much most people, I think, at some point have had a 900 series. And then they just went, poof, disappeared off the market. And they've come back with this kind of really, just chuck a name on some OEM case and call it Antec. It's, yeah, not very good. Alexa says, amazing crap people watch. Celebrity trials, reality TV, people building computers. I know. I'm guilty. O'Reilly, the Lian Li Lancool 215 doesn't fit. Because the Lancool 215 is basically the F15, same chassis. That was my, I actually did get the 215. I did review it and I couldn't get them to fit. Even though I did cut out loads of plastic as well to try and get it to fit. Dave says those Not Your fans would be a good replacement for a strimmer. Bob is proper smart. Kenny D's in the house. How you doing, Kenny? Riley says the Antec Lamboy with a blue LED fan on the front. It was a, I think it was a 140. It might even been a 120. Dave says, Mike seems like he would drive a Jag or a Range Rover Sport. No, neither of those, sadly. I have driven a Range Rover Sport, briefly for a day. Not owned a Jag. I've always fancied getting a Jag. With the amount of mileage that we use our car for, it probably would be quite economical. O'Reilly says, really? Not your website says 215 says it's compatible? No, it definitely isn't. 100%. I tried it. I cut out parts of my 215. The fans physically fit, but you can't put the front back on. So you have the choice then of either having the front on the case or having the fans. You can't have both because there's not enough room. The Noctua fans, the 200mm ones, they're like 35mm deep, whereas the fans which you normally get with the standard 215 or the F15, they're about 27mm. So first of all, you can't get the screws to go through because you'd have to go and buy longer screws, which is what happened just now. And also, you can't push the front panel back on. Well, you can, but there's like a gap of about 3 or 4mm all the way around the outside edges, and it just falls off. It does. Captain Me's Adventures says, Mike, do you know the F15 case, does it go to the danger zone? It does. With, is it Kenny Loggins? Kenny Loggins saying that, didn't he? I went to the danger zone.
Did he?
Yeah. Although, I'm sure I got the words to that song wrong. Because I thought it was, I went to the danger zone, which makes sense. But I'm thinking it's actually, I'm riding the danger zone. Someone please Google that and let me know. I'm sure I got it wrong. Stuart says, Mike, how is the attic conversion going? It's not really, to be honest with you. It's stalled very much.
But it's done.
It's not done. We've basically had two windows put in the roof, so there's daylight coming in from both sides of the roof, and we've got a loft ladder or loft hatch we can walk up. There's no flooring or anything down or none of that stuff.
Without it
Yeah,
open. And
because it's not been plastered or anything around the hatch where we cut it all out, it's basically you can see daylight. When the hatch is closed, there's just daylight all around the outside. So I'm hoping we patch that up before it gets cold, otherwise it's going to get chilly. Letter says, happy birthday, Mike. Mine is later this month. Cool. Happy birthday to you for later in the month. It was Kath's birthday as well this week. Hers was on Tuesday.
yeah.
I have to think myself then.
Ages ago now.
O'Reilly says, I did not see the comment section on the Noctua website below the compatibility list that says it is not compatible. Yeah, there's those 200mm fans are a pain in the ass. Kenny D says, I have a hard budget of £300 for a GPU and have a Ryzen 5 1600, but planning to get a Ryzen 5 5600. For £300 at the moment, you can get, if you're lucky, a RX 6600, which actually isn't a bad card for the money. And in fact, today we saw the RTX 3050 for 259, I think it was. The Asus one, single fan. Charles posted it on the Discord, on the Deals No Chat. Ugly Bob, Lana, Lana, danger zone. Yeah, that's the right words. Welly Bob says, highway to the danger zone. Yeah, that's it. Highway to the danger zone. It's highway to the danger zone. What a stupid thing to say. Why can't you say, it's not highway to the danger zone, because it's a plane, for God's sake. There's no highways in the air. None. Maybe in Back to the Future. But none in real life. Or Top Gun. I went to, or riding to, makes sense.
I am everybody.
Yeah, I am everybody. Captain Meat Adventure says, I can see Mike driving an SD1 Rover, a P6 Rover, or an MG Montego. I've had none of those. I wouldn't mind an SD1 Rover. That would be pretty cool. I don't think I'd afford to run it. O'Reilly says, try the Fantex Enthio Pro for 200mm fans. Captain Meat says, can't wait to see Top Gun 2. I'm looking forward to that. The fact that it's done mostly real. I think they've done pretty much everything that was physically possible to do real, they've done real. And for that, I give them massive kudos. I was talking about this actually very recently on our Discord about Marvel films. How I think the modern superhero films are less good due to the amount of CGI and the kind of over-the-topness of them. Probably my favourite superhero film is the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton. Because the whole thing was built, it was an actual real set that they did for pretty much all of it. And you can tell that when you watch it, it looks like it's real, because it's real. It makes sense. Whereas CGI stuff and green screen, you can always tell. It looks too good.
Thinking of that demo thing you were watching. That Amazon thing.
What was that?
I don't know, you had to watch that Amazon
Oh God, yeah.
thing and the green screen was all like rubbish.
Actually, yeah, I was watching the Amazon Prime trial. They send me these pilots and movies and series to watch to get my opinion on them before they go out to air.
Raping you for data.
They're basically, raping me for data, that's what they're doing. And there was one I was watching recently, and there's like quite a lot of green screen stuff in there, and like there was places where audio wasn't done or they needed other dialogue. And I was watching it, and it was like some of it, there was a really funny part where there was a fight going on between a human and an animal, and where they hadn't got the animal bit done, because obviously it's not been finished, they've just got this like very crude, pixelated kind of animal, just like growling and rah, and the bloke's like, no! And it's just like, wow, this still needs a lot of work. It really does. Whereas if they'd have done it with a real bear, it would have been fine. And probably no one would have got killed or hurt.
And it would have made it even better to watch.
Yeah. Bob's seeing Doctor Strange 2 tomorrow. Don't forget to take your mobile with you and cam it. Ugly Bob says the Palette GeForce RTX 3050 is 292 on Amazon. Twin fan, nice. How dare you question the logins? The logins question me. I always type them in wrong. They say, sorry, your login is incorrect. Please try again.
Choking.
Captain Meat says the 89 Batman and the 1977 Superman were the best superhero movies. I think I agree. There was something about that kind of gritty realism about them which just made them really cool. John's done with Marvel. Yeah, I know the feeling. Some of it might still be good. I'm actually looking forward to Doctor Strange 2. That might be quite good. A lot of the recent stuff has been a little bit too weird. Yeah, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was actually a very good Batman. Apparently he's in the newer Flash series. Jack Nicholson's still the best Joker. Yeah, Nicholson's a crazy bastard. He really is. And he done well in that. Yeah, Keaton's Batman was amazing. I'll agree with that. Dom says, I'm waiting for The Boys 3 in June. Yeah, that should be quite good. Mark Point says, worst CGI ever. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah, that was awful. That was actually like, very much like watching, it was, if the preview I was watching, if you imagine Mighty Morphin Power Rangers combined with early 80s Neighbours, combined with Jules, yeah, it was very much like that. There was a lot of it going on.
That wasn't CGI like Jules, wasn't it? It was just...
Right, we're getting on to the movie thing now. Right, I should call it a day because we've done 2.5 hours. We've done over 2.5 hours. You're getting more for your money.
Morphine. Mate, you didn't sit on my keyboard.
Yes, there are some good films out there. I just realised I turned the camera on it there, and I've not actually used it, so I'm going to turn it off. There we go. Hello. That would have been much better for doing the magnetic LED screwdriver.
With the screw that you couldn't see.
There, I've actually done it now. And if I can I do the chat one.
What we do here is go back.
Anyway, that's enough of that. So I think we're going to call it a night because I got work tomorrow, which sucks. It's supposed to be a very nice day. So if you're in the Bristol area and you want to clean your car, please feel free to drop in and say hello.
Buy any windscreen wipers?
If you want to bring me in a sausage or bacon roll, that'd be nice as well. You won't get any windscreen wipers. We're out of windscreen wipers. Apparently the Bosch factory is... Anyway. Weird audio. Oh yeah, I turned on the overhead one again, didn't I? I keep on doing that. I'm an idiot. Stuart says, hurry up so I can bang on Kenny Loggins. Kenny Loggins is an absolute genius. He is a genius of the 80s. He really is.
Oh, he did Footloose, didn't he?
We should get him on.
Did he do Footloose?
He did Footloose, yeah. Did Footloose. He did
We should get him on.
Top Gun. You should get him on the show. Kenny Loggins, come on. Come and sit down.
Kenny G one.
Sit down. Kenny G. We'll have Kenny G on one side. We'll have Kenny Loggins on the other side. And they can fight out. Saxophone.
Kenny G. Captain Meat contacted Kenny G, didn't he, for us?
Yeah.
Has he heard any
Oh yeah, happy Mother's Day to those of you in the United States and wherever around the world. I think it's Mother's Day pretty much everywhere else around actually.
Mark Point.
And thank you all for your super chats and stuff. And please feel free to reminisce about old movies and old music, which was much better when we were younger, I think. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Yeah. Thank you all for your super chats. It's been actually amazing. We've done, yeah, wow, mental. Couldn't have asked for more. Really couldn't. O'Reilly says, Mike, you can keep those not sure 200mm fans. I know, everyone says that. That's why they're still on the bloody shelf. I couldn't get rid of them if I wanted to. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Thank you all for taking part. Hopefully you haven't wasted too much of your Saturday evening or Sunday morning or wherever it is, wherever you are. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.